Hi, this is Isla, and this is part of a series of videos which I have titled Becoming You, because becoming you is about being your true self, and I am here to support that. I am here to encourage that. And each video tells a little bit something different. And today I was guided to do this video from a dear friend who said, "Oh my God, you have to do it. You have to tell this part of the story so people can connect." And that's why I'm titling this one having to do with dis-ease. Dis-ease. Have you been diagnosed with some kind of dis-ease? Did a doctor say to you, you have blank? Fill in the blank. So I had a diagnosis. I want to say October, November, December. It was 2 months ago when I went to the doctor and I was diagnosed. And the diagnosis was uterine cancer. I've been pretty healthy much of my life. Never had anything serious. Well, this was serious. This was the big C, right? Not something I wanted to hear. It wasn't my path. It wasn't what I was going to have to deal with, I should say. But here's what I want to say to you. There is a way out. There is a way to deal with this that can be less scary. It can be less horrible. It can be more positive. It can be more meaningful. And how do you do that? How do you do that when you get that diagnosis? And maybe you just got it, or maybe you've been dealing with some chronic thing for a long time. The first thing I'm going to tell you, and this is the most important thing that I found for me, is that understand it's a diagnosis by a medical professional, whatever it is, whether it's something called lupus, whether it's called cancer, whether it's called diabetes, whether it's called high blood pressure, whether it's called AIDS, whether it's called whatever it's called, it is a diagnosis. And the important part of that, and this was really important to me when somebody said to me, "Oh, I hear you have cancer." No, that is not my truth. My truth is I was diagnosed with it. I was diagnosed with this. Now, what is the difference between being diagnosed and saying I have it? Well, what happens when you say I have a car, I have a cat, I have a dog? It becomes yours, right? It's a possession. Do you want to possess that disease, that ailment that some medical professional has told you exists in your body? Now, it may seem trivial. It may seem, oh, that they're just words, but you know, words are powerful. We want to, in becoming you, become aware of the thoughts and the words that you use. So if you have been diagnosed with something, okay, that's what they say. That's what the doctor said. That's what the tests tell them. Is it true? It might be true. There still is value in keeping it a diagnosis rather than saying, I have blank. Okay, I made that point. I hope you got that point. I drove it home. Now, another thing that comes up for me is attitude. You can see that I have kind of a playful attitude, and that is my general persona. Have I always been that way? I don't know. I don't know. I guess. I look for the positive. I see the positive. But you know, when the hard diagnosis came to me, well, there was fear and anger, sadness, terror, but there was also it was also a test of all of my spiritual tools that I have in my toolbox, and that I want to encourage you to have in your toolbox. They might not be my tools, they might be similar, but they're spiritual tools in dealing with things that happened in our life that seem out of our control. And how do we get back some sense of this, to make sense out of this, and to get through it and to deal with it in a positive way. After that diagnosis, and after I was clear that I would never, that my languaging is going to be, it's a diagnosis, I decided, I'm pretty active on Facebook, I decided I'm going to put this on Facebook. I'm going to tell every person that I run into about it. I'm going to tell them about the diagnosis, and I'm going to ask for help. Because you know what? Most of my life, I have not asked for help. Most of my life, I've been pushing to be independent, to be able to take care of things, to say, hey, I got it. Someone says, hey, you need help with that? No, I got it, I can do it. I can do it. Well, this was a time to do something different, and I did, and I asked for help, and I put it, like I said, I even started a blog, and the blog was a way for me to express myself. I'm a writer, I love to write. Express myself in a clear way. I wouldn't send the blog out if it was all over the place. I would write it, and then I'd reread it, and I'd say, okay, this makes sense, and out it would go. And one moment, when one is facing something like this, a diagnosis, one moment there's clarity, and I got it all together, I got it figured out, here's the plan, and then, you know what? Half an hour later, I'm in the abyss of terror, of, oh my God, what if I die? What if I die on the table? What if? Meditation, I increased that to twice a day to be really sure I was getting more in touch with me. I made sure I was taking my walks that I usually take, but I made sure I was taking them every day, 2 miles in nature, to just be, to listen, or sometimes I would talk. I'd talk to my spirit team and say, hey, what's going on? I need some help. I need some strength. I need some courage. I need it. I need some clarity. I used my spiritual tools, my spiritual toolbox. I used my mental abilities and did a lot of research online about what my options were, what to do, what not to do, what I might want to do. I got with a naturopath, I got with a homeopath. These are people who practice natural forms of healing. I got with people who do energy work. And then people started to write to me. This was so beautiful. It's still so beautiful, and it's so touching to me. Almost 200 people wrote to me to encourage me and to say, I'm sending you love. I'm sending you healing. You're in my prayers. And I realized just how interconnected we all are. If you're dealing with a diagnosis, a new diagnosis, an old diagnosis, a chronic condition, find a way to ask for help. And if you haven't already, because it is a blessing. Knowing and trusting what's inside of you to deal with it is extremely important. I had a decision. The medical profession said surgery. I've been really strong about doing things naturally. Yet I wasn't clear. My intuition wasn't telling me to not do the surgery. And I want to live a long life. And the surgery would take it out of me, and hopefully there wouldn't be anything else in there. And I thought, you know what? That was my decision. I had surgery, I had a hysterectomy, and the cancer was removed from my body with no sign of it anywhere. In the meantime, I stopped eating sugar. I am a sugar addict. Once I get going on it, I'm eating M&Ms 3 times a day. And I say M&Ms because it's terrible quality. It's just sweets. It's just garbage. And it doesn't serve my body. It doesn't serve anybody's body. So once again, like I've done many times in my life, off the sugar, off the breads, off the things that do not serve my body, and only eat foods that nurture my body, and put my focus somewhere else. I don't need to obsess about food. I need to make sure I'm eating well. I need to make sure I'm taking care of myself day to day, mentally, emotionally, physically, spiritually. And I also need to give back. And that's why I'm making these videos, because I want people to know there are many choices when a medical professional gives you a diagnosis. There are things you can do, and there's places you can go to find those things. And I am not a naturopath. I am not a medical professional. I cannot advise you what things you need to do. Your higher self will tell you that. Your intuition down here in your gut, it's called a gut feeling for a reason, will tell you moment by moment, day by day. And if you need help with that, if you need coaching with that, I am enthused and excited to work with people who are ready to shift that reality about the diagnosis. Does it promise 100% perfect health? Nothing promises anything. What I have experienced is going from victim, scared, nervous, oh my God, what am I going to do, to I got this, I can handle it, and I can get well, I can be well. And one of the things I use all the time is language. One phrase, I went from saying I'm going to be fine, I'm going to be healthy, to I am healthy. Even when, 2 days after that diagnosis, I was saying I am healthy, I am strong, I am physically well. It's important that you language things in a way that supports your vision of what you want. And if you are dealing with a diagnosis, when you get well, what are you going to do with all that time? What are you going to do with all that energy you're now going to have, because you're not going to have that anymore? That's something to be looking at and getting excited about. Say, you know what? I want a different reality. I don't want this diagnosis of this disease. I want to help people do this, or I want to go back to school, or whatever it is, I want to travel. Find your dreams that you want to do on the other side of dis-ease in your body, in your whole being. Continue to tune in to Becoming You, and I will help with other aspects of how to get in touch with you: meditation, qigong, yoga. I am not a teacher of qigong or yoga. I have been meditating for 25 years, and yes, those things absolutely help you get centered, connected to your higher self, to your spirit self, to your spirit team. We're not alone in this universe. And thank you for tuning in today. Have a beautiful day. Think happy thoughts, and I wish you well.